How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On The Ball and welcome back to another transfer update and some big news to talk about today. And we're going to start off in the Premier League, starting off with Tino Livramento of Southampton. The Athletic are reporting that Newcastle have agreed a fee of £40 million to sign right back Tino Livramento from Southampton. Chelsea have a 40% sell-on fee and will receive £15 million for this transfer.
It's a monstrous fee for a player who's been out for a year, but you have to say a couple of years ago when he was playing regularly at Southampton, he was pretty good, wasn't he, at right back? And I was pretty impressed with him. He got so unlucky with that big injury, which literally ended his season early last season. I just think it's a very, very big fee. I'm surprised Newcastle went that big, but maybe it's to account for, as you say, that sell-on fee. That's why the fee had to be that size.
Yeah, I didn't know the sell-on fee until I saw it reported here, and I think that it makes more sense now why Southampton would command such a big fee, but doesn't really make too much more sense why Newcastle would go for that big fee unless they really need English quota, which I don't think they do. I mean, look, he's a good player, but on the back of such an injury where he was out for the whole of last season, I mean, they don't know which Tino Livramento they're going to get after on the back of such an injury. So it's an interesting one.
And also Trippier's a right back now, so how much game time is he going to get? But then again, Trippier is ageing, so maybe they're thinking about life after Trippier.
Yeah, it's good options to have anyway. Trippier and Livramento on that right back slot, and that's going to be covered for the next couple of years at least. Let's move on and let's talk about Alex Scott from Bristol City. The Telegraph are saying that Bournemouth are set to hijack Wolves' attempts to sign Bristol City midfielder Alex Scott with a £25 million bid. If you're Alex Scott, who are you going to, Bournemouth or Wolves?
Probably Bournemouth at the moment in a weird way, because Lopetegui, there's something funny going on at Wolves, having a really poor summer. They're struggling to get targets in.
It's FFP.
Lopetegui, was on the fence whether he was going to stay or not. I actually think there's something good happening at Bournemouth. They're actually quietly having quite a good summer with some of the signings they made. They got the new manager, Iraola, who's going to play a nice possession, like more attacking style of play. So I could actually understand about Alex Scott. I look at that and think I'm probably guaranteed more game time there. And I think it's probably more suited to how I'm going to play. So I feel like there's a happier camp at Bournemouth at the moment than Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a new beginning with a new manager. It all ended a bit weirdly at the end of after the season finished with their previous manager. But if I'm Alex Scott, I'm looking at the way these two teams play, and I think Bournemouth is probably the better shout, to be honest. Moving on, this is an interesting one regarding Robert Sanchez of Brighton. Athletic are reporting that Chelsea have agreed an initial £20 million fee with Brighton to sign goalkeeper Robert Sanchez. I mean, he got dropped halfway through last season for Luke Steele in the Brighton goal. They're claiming he's going to go there and provide competition for Kepa. But the way I look at it, he'll probably be back up for Kepa. And second of all, if I'm signing a new keeper and I'm Chelsea manager, I'm probably want to look at one of the really good keepers in world football. I don't understand why they're going for Robert Sanchez. Unless
they're trying to back their investment in Kepa in terms of they signed him with 70 million, so they don't want to sign another keeper for more big fees. Even though Kepa probably isn't. Well, we know he's not worth that, and he hasn't had a good time at Chelsea. He does show potential at times for being a better keeper. You got to remember he's still very young, so maybe they don't want to go and splash a whole bunch of money on a new keeper when maybe they think they can rely on Kepa to be their number one keeper. In terms of Sanchez, I'm sure he can provide competition, and he might feel like he can win that spot off Kepa. And I think it is going to be a bit of an even competition. But I don't know. Sanchez had a good start to last season and dropped halfway through. And I thought a lot of it was attitude problems. A lot of it was apparently De Zerbi felt like he couldn't play the way he wanted the goalkeeper to play as well as Luke Steele could. So there is a few question marks over Sanchez, but I do think he's a good keeper. But I don't think he's as good as Kepa, even though Kepa is he's a bit of a figure of fun amongst the football community just because he costs so much and he has been that good.
Is it 72 million or something?
Yeah, but I actually don't think he's a bad keeper, Kepa. I actually think he's growing, and I think he's still very young he's still fairly young, and I think he's going to have a good season.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't rate Kepa that highly, to be honest, especially when you kind of put him next to the fee that he came to Chelsea with. And like I said, I'm probably going for a better keeper if I'm Chelsea manager, and I'm probably trying to look at David Raya or someone like that who's available. They're saying 40 million, but you only have to look at Arsenal, right? They've got Aaron Ramsdale. They just signed him down to a big 5-year contract at the end of the season. and they're still going for David Raya. I mean, that is what you call ambition.
No, actually, Kepa's older than I thought he was, to be fair. He's 28 now. I'm so used to him being young because they signed him as like a 21-year-old.
He looks young, doesn't he?
And he looks young. So maybe in that case, maybe they should be going for a better goalkeeper than Robert Sanchez.
Next up, let's talk about another potential Chelsea signing, and this is Tyler Adams of Leeds. The Athletic are reporting that Chelsea are considering signing Tyler Adams from Leeds. He has a £20 million release clause.
I think it makes sense, actually, because it's cheap. He could be a good squad player. I actually rate Tyler Adams. I think he's quite good, especially for a defensive midfielder, a centre midfielder. I think he could offer good competition for Enzo and whoever else they bring in. I honestly, I do think they'll sign another centre mid for big money on top of Adams. But look, they've got one centre mid right now. So if you're adding Adams as a squad option for 20 million, even though he got relegated last season, I think he's a good player. I think it's not a bad option.
I think he's all right, but I think, look, you're saying that they will get someone else. And if this is their replacement for Caicedo because he's too expensive, I think it's nowhere near good enough. But as a squad player, yeah, you're probably right. He'll probably do the job coming off the bench in games and stuff like that. Look, he's definitely got a lot of energy. He's a Duracell bunny and knows how to put in the challenges and stuff like that. But what else does he offer?
I think he's decent on the ball. I think he offers a good drive. He can drive into space pretty effectively. And off the ball, look, he's a defensive midfielder, so he keeps things simple. He keeps things ticking. I don't think he has the best passing range, but I think like at 20 million as a squad option, his age as well, a good player for the US national team as well. I think it's a decent option for them.
Yeah, I mean, they probably should have been looking at someone like a Franck Kessie as well. That went for like even cheaper than that, to be honest. But we'll talk about him in a moment's time. But let's move on and let's talk about Takehiro Tomiyasu of Arsenal, as Gazzetta dello Sport are claiming that Inter Milan are interested in bringing the Arsenal right back to the club. How long has he been at Arsenal now? 2 years now?
This is, going into his third year.
Going into his third year. I mean, I like him as a player. I don't think he's probably good enough to start for a club like Arsenal week in, week out. I think he made his name, obviously, in Serie A. Was it for Bologna? I think it was. And the only problem I get with Tomiyasu, first of all, I don't know if he's got enough attacking output. And second of all, I think that he just can't get him on the pitch as much as you would like. He's always injured.
And they've got Ben White and now they've got Timber, so they don't really have a need for him anymore. He can cover both wings, I guess, but they do have Tierney and Zinchenko on the one wing, and they've got Timber and White on the other wing. So there's not really a need for Tomiyasu. And as you say, he's got big injury problems. As much as he did a good job for them in his first season when he was starting, I don't think he's really been the player they hoped for. At the end of the day, I don't think he really developed as well as he could. And maybe it's because he couldn't get on the pitch enough. But I think if you're Arsenal, you get a good offer, you probably take it. There's no need to have him around in the squad at the moment. Yeah,
I agree with that one. Next up, let's go back to the Kylian Mbappe situation. A Sport are claiming that PSG striker Kylian Mbappe has told Chelsea he would be open to joining them this season on the condition that he can move to Real Madrid on a free transfer next summer. Can you see this one happening?
No. I don't think he's going to Chelsea. I think if he's open to going to certain clubs just for a year and it's not Saudi, I'm sure there'll be someone in the Champions League surely who he doesn't want to exit the Champions League for a season, does he? Or maybe he doesn't mind. But depending on the financial package Chelsea are going to offer him, which probably will be good, but I don't see him going to Chelsea for a year. I think a team in the Champions League will take him for a year. Apparently,
he did build up quite the relationship with Pochettino at his time with PSG. So maybe that's got something to do with it.
That's a fair point. I didn't even think about the Pochettino link. So maybe Poch can convince him to come for a year, but I don't see it. I don't see him going to Chelsea for a year. I really don't. I just think if I'm Man United, I'd take him for a year. Why not?
I think anyone should take him. I mean, nobody should say no to him just because it's a year's time. You're talking about literally one of the best players in the world in Kylian Mbappe, who's going to make a massive change to any club he joins. And if he does go and join Chelsea, how much does that increase their chance of making it back into the Champions League or even going for a title challenge?
Not about title, but for sure going in the Champions League, massive. Look, but this is Kylian Mbappe. If you can get him in your side, he's especially for Chelsea who don't have that many attackers right now. If they can add Mbappe, I mean, it's going to be frightening what they can do for sure in that forward line. I don't think it fires them into a title challenge though.
All right, let's move on and let's go back to the Joao Cancelo situation, as Romano says that Barca have reached an agreement with Joao Cancelo over personal terms. Talks are now ongoing with Man City over the finances of the deal. So I do expect this one to happen.
Yeah, and I think, look, they got the money from Ousmane Dembele. I think the stars are aligning. I think it's going to be a good signing for Barcelona. So it doesn't surprise me that things are progressing.
And next up, we've got Goncalo Ramos, who looks set to be joining PSG, as Romano has confirmed that PSG are closing in on Goncalo Ramos. Agreement very close. Final details being sorted. It could be completed this week. €80 million package fee to Benfica, add-ons included. Ramos agreed contract until June 2028. Here we go, expected very soon.
Wow.
So the front line of PSG is shaping up really nicely, isn't it?
Yeah, Ousmane Dembele, Neymar, and Goncalo Ramos, and that's a big move. They were linked to Moani. I'm guessing that's going quiet now. They've decided on Ramos and said, let's just sign both. You wouldn't put it past PSG. But wow, a bit 80 million for a player who's 22 years of age. He smashed it for Benfica last season. Scored a hat-trick at the World Cup as well. He's a brilliant striker for a player his age. Really good physicality, really good movement in the box. I expect him to score lots of goals, but he's not that kind of player who's going to be so involved in the link-up play, I feel, Goncalo Ramos. So some people, you're going to have to do a bit of the heavy lifting, I guess, when it comes to setting him up. But you've got Ousmane Dembele, who's a bit of an assist machine, so you really fancy the chances to be linking up.
The amount of money this Benfica side have made over the past 5 to 10 years is just nuts. I mean, the fees that they're getting for their players, I mean, I've got a list in front of me. I mean, Joao Felix, Enzo Fernandez, Darwin Núñez, Ruben Diaz, Ederson, even the likes of Axel Witsel and Raul Jimenez went for 40 odd million.
Every year their top goal scorer is leaving. I remember Carlos Vinicius signed for us, and then they had Darwin Núñez sign for Liverpool. Now Goncalo Ramos signing for PSG. So if you're top goal scorer for Benfica, big moves around the corner.
But how are they getting these fees? I mean, Goncalo Ramos for 80 million, I can understand, but Joao Felix in 2019, this is ages ago now, went for 130 million or something like that.
Because they had a massive Griezmann-shaped hole in their pocket, basically, and they needed to fill it, and they kind of panicked a bit. He only had one season, and they decided to spend that money on him, which was pretty crazy at the time. They have just brilliant marketing.
Enzo Fernandez as well, after one good World Cup, went for 120 million.
I do think he's a good player, though.
No, I agree, but 120 million?
Yeah, it's crazy. They're brilliant. They've got brilliant PR, Benfica.
They really
do. They've convinced everyone that. Well, to be fair, they do have a brilliant academy. They've always consistently got a really good line of talent coming through the team. So you got to give them credit for that. But some of the fees are pretty crazy that they get.
It makes the Ruben Diaz deal look like pennies compared to what the other players went for. Because Ruben Diaz, I mean, I think everyone expected him to go on and do what he did at Man City, to be honest. And these other players, I mean, I don't know. You could be a bit hit and miss, but they are doing well. To be fair,
have any of them been bad except for Felix?
Axel Witsel, 40 million, who went to Zenit though. Nelson Semedo hasn't been great, 35 million.
What, to Barca?
Yeah.
Okay.
Victor Lindelof,
being about average.
35 million. Raul Jimenez, 40 million.
It was good though.
True. Before that injury, he was.
Yeah, he was good.
I mean, Darwin Núñez was clowned on a bit last season, but I actually think he's a quality player.
He's young. He's still, 22 or something?
Yeah.
I feel like the fees are crazy, but I don't know. They're kind of justified in a way. They've all been pretty good.
Yeah, I don't disagree, to be fair. Let's talk about Franck Kessie now, as Romano says that Al Ahly have submitted an official bid for Franck Kessie. Proposal arrived in Barcelona offices, €15 million fee. Understand that Kessie has accepted a 3-year deal offered by Al Ahly up to the final details. Deal is very close, advancing with Barca ready to sell Franck. So with all these teams needing a central midfielder, Chelsea, Tottenham, potentially some other clubs, other big clubs as well, he's going to end up going to Saudi.
Yeah, it's really strange that no one's interested and no one's registered some interest in him, considering that he's out of favour. Clearly, Barca want to let him go. There's been rumours about it for a while. He didn't get much game time last season. And he's available for such a small fee. And this is a player who was really highly sought after. So much so that Barca signed him on a free. You know, they were battling with teams like us, Tottenham. They were battling with other teams to get a signature after he took AC Milan to the title.
Yeah.
Like, he was one of their main players. And for a year, it's just gone so... I mean, it must have been that bad. Maybe there's got the other problems behind the scenes that we're not aware of. But there's something really weird about this whole situation. And that's such a tiny fee for a player who was so influential in getting AC Milan a title. It is a bit strange, but 12 million is nothing. Even you also would have assumed that if a Saudi club are coming in for him, they'll bump the price up to like 30 million or something, but they're giving away for fairly cheap. So I reckon he might also go down as one of the big, like, what if he got a different move when he moved to Barcelona? Where would his career be right now? Because no one would have thought after he moved to Barca he would be in Saudi within a year.
Yeah, it's mental. And when you're looking at like this market, right, everything is so inflated, and you're talking about big money moves, like you say, going into Saudi. He's going for like 15 million euros, and then Chelsea are demanding like 50 million pounds for someone like Conor Gallagher.
Crazy.
It's mad. Like,
yeah.
what is this?
It shows how hard it is. How much there's like a Premier League premium when you're buying players off Premier League teams, because the Premier League it's so hard to bully teams in the Premier League financially, because everyone has money now in the Premier League. You can't just like no one's like wowed by 30 million anymore. Yeah, it's just different landscape.
Yeah, and let's move on to Daichi Kamada. He was probably the best free transfer, best Bosman player left in the pecking order. Romano says that Lazio are now closing in on Daichi Kamada, agreement being sealed between the parties as Japanese midfielder is going to join on a free transfer. Kamada has accepted Lazio. All the documents are being checked now. So really good signing for Lazio.
Good signing. I wouldn't say completely replaces Milenkovic-Savic. I think they kind of played different roles, but it's an interesting one because he was set to sign for AC Milan, wasn't he? And I think by all accounts, a lot of people had said it was already agreed.
Yeah.
And for one reason or another, it broke down. And also a bit surprised that he's been a free agent for a month now, and no one's made a move quicker than this. But I think it's a good signing for Lazio. I think he'll be a good player for them. So I think they've done well to get him on a free transfer. He had a brilliant season for Frankfurt last season. Really good goal scoring midfielder, good technique. So I think he's going to be a success there.
You got one last one there in the final hour?
Yeah, I mean, there's one more. Just as we were speaking, Romano gave his second "here we go" for Josko Gvardiol to Man City. He says, just signed documents. Gvardiol can be considered a new City player. 90 million euros fixed fee, no add-ons, long-term deal. Josko will be in Manchester tonight, medical on Friday. Here we go, confirmed. So that's just, as we were speaking, no real surprise. But I think maybe Romano was panicking a bit after he gave the "here we go," and it seemed to the deal seemed to be on the rocks for a bit. But there we go.
So is he giving his second leak then?
Second leak, and then they're going to hit tomorrow. They're not happy again. And it's going to be off. But no, look, I think it's a great deal, and it just reinforces that defence that Man City have. And adding Gvardiol, I mean, the only weak point was probably Ake, where he was brilliant last season anyway. I wouldn't even call him a weak point. But you're saying, looking at that back four, is like who's upgradable? Like probably Ake, and then bam, Gvardiol.
And Ake had an unbelievable season as well.
Yeah.
So look, there you have it. That is your transfer update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all of the news stories from today, and we'll see you next time.